You know, some people out there, when they talk, they fake the funk. You want brutally honest? Well, if you want brutally honest, look no further than CG Ruthless Sports.
CG Ruthless.
CG Ruthless Sports.
CG Ruthless.
If you want your sports talk to be brutally honest, come check out CG.
CG Ruthless.
If you're not watching CG Ruthless, I don't know what to tell you. Representing the Niner Empire.
CG Ruthless.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome JB&M Sports Fanatic. What's good, man?
Hey, thank you for having me on.
Tell me where they can find you on their social media platform, man.
Yeah, so on IG, I'm JoshBro21, and you can also find me on Twitter at JoshBro34. So again, that's IG JoshBro3021, and Twitter is JoshBro34.
That's cool, bro. So what's your thoughts of the reaction of the Cardinals getting Zach Ertz, man? That just caught me by surprise. I just saw it popped up, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean, another example of a team that's being all in when it comes to trying to win right now. Obviously, being the last team remaining, they're feeling confident. I know they lost their tight end due to injury, so it just made sense for them to add Zach Ertz. So I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I mean, starting 5-0 was a good start for them, and nobody would expect it, including myself. I was like thinking, man, they're a little overrated, but I guess they're starting to prove people wrong a little bit early on. But we all know we should have, they should have just seen what was going to happen. But I guess the way they played, they had some weird starts, and then they started finishing adversity. Then they started beating some really good teams like the Rams. So that kind of just shows you that maybe this team is legit, but we'll have to wait and see. So what's your thoughts of how they're starting? Like surprising, or you just had a feeling maybe it's a possibility?
Yeah, so before the start of the season, I remember when I did my prediction for the NFC West, and like me being, you know, a Patriots fan, this was coming from an outside perspective. So I was looking at the additions that they made, and so I was like, you know, I've been projecting for the last year at some point Kyler Murray's going to take an MVP caliber type of leap, you know, to where he's going to have a great year. And I thought the signs were there to where maybe this could be the year if they're healthy. And so I projected them to be about an 11-win team or something like that. I know the division's tough, and I didn't see how it's going to happen. But to come out like this, I'm still surprised. I projected them to be good, just not this good. So I'm surprised.
Yeah, same with me, even though it's a division opponent. But let's get on to those other interesting topics of the other teams in general. Like, I mean, the Cardinals, it's like anybody just kind of slept on them. But if we're talking NFC West, I mean, it's one of the most interesting and most competitive division you'll see in football. But, like, I don't know, like Seattle and San Francisco, who would have thought those teams would have been in the bottom a little bit too early? But we'll see.
You're right about that. I mean, I feel like injuries obviously playing a role in this one when it comes to those two teams particularly.
Yeah, it plays a role with it, especially with all the injuries. But Seattle, it's like we'll see what they do with Geno Smith. I mean, it's still kind of like saying, oh, you can never rule them out with Russell Wilson, but there's that problem there. There's no more Russell Wilson for a while.
Right.
So it's like I would expect Geno Smith to maybe be a game manager at best. He probably won't do as much like Russell does.
Oh, yeah, you know the play calling is going to be adjusted to account for the fact that he's obviously not Russ. And so, I mean, that's going to be a big deal right there. I know they've got the Steelers coming up, so we'll get to really see what he can do against the Steelers in that one.
Yeah, the surprising part is Pittsburgh was good last year. Now they're kind of like struggling. So it's like, man, what's going on? Is the offense non-existent? Or, I mean, their defense doesn't seem as bad as people think it is. I think it's a lot to do with their offense.
Yeah, I'm in 1,000% agreement. Just the outlook on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know last year they started off like 11-0, then they slided the last 5 games and stuff. I think the only one that they had was against the Indianapolis Colts during that time frame. But other than that, they were taking L's left and right. And just Ben Roethlisberger in general, just It's not playing at the level that they need for him to play consistently. When he does good, this team looks good, but when he doesn't do good, they don't look that well.
Yeah, they have struggled there for a few, but the defense has always been the issue with Seattle. So it's always having better time of possession when it comes to playing against Seattle. But Seattle's been catching a couple breaks here and there. When especially playing against my team, it's always been like they've been lucky, but now it's kind of like at a point to where they have to overcome a lot. So this division is pretty much tough for all of them. I think if Seattle was in the NFC East, it probably would have been a little bit simpler for them. But no, looks to me the one that people would expect the most from this year is the Cowboys. Like, I think they made a huge stride as far as defensively, and their offense is a lot better. Like, what's your thoughts of it?
Totally agree. I mean, you talk about where they were last year. We were talking about historically bad for Cowboys, like just in general on defense. And then this year, all the additions that they made on defense, I know they focused on that in the draft. This time they finally said, look, we got to focus on defense. And so they've been great defensively. And even on offense, you see Dak Prescott playing with a lot more confidence than we've seen from him in the league. Obviously, Zeke looks like he's in better shape. The combination of him, Tony Pollard, those guys. So I really like this Dallas team a lot.
Yeah, they should be kind of a lot better than what people give them credit for. But yeah. So looking into that division, it's like the Eagles were kind of like a solid start 1-0, and now they're starting to look a little up and down. Like, I don't know what to expect out of Philadelphia. It's like, are they going to be any good, or is it kind of like a trick with them? I mean, I don't know what to expect out of the Eagles.
Right. When it comes to the Eagles, I was just thinking about that when I was doing my live stream during the game. And so, I mean, they obviously came off with that big win against the Carolina Panthers, but a couple games where I expected for Jalen Hurts to be a little bit more consistent in versus the Cowboys and then obviously versus the Buccaneers. And so it didn't happen. So they're a little bit up and down right now. And I guess, I mean, just given what they have on offense right now, you're going to expect some games they're going to come out ready to play. Other games, not so much. They've got, young receivers, young quarterback. That's to be expected up and down offensively.
Yeah, that would be like what's going on because Jalen Hurts is barely on a full season. So you got to wait and see what you get out of this kid. Oh, at least winning season got them to the Super Bowl. I mean, the Niners, it's kind of been the same thing, square one. I mean, that's all the thing with Kyle Shanahan. Oh, yeah, one winning season got us to the Super Bowl. But what has he done lately? That's been the question.
Exactly.
And it kind of hurts me to say it, but what have we done lately?
It's tough because because I was looking at the 49ers last year and I was like, man, is there a team that's been bit more by injuries last year than what the 49ers went through with all the injuries? And so that's why when I was doing my projection for this year, I was like, okay, if they're able to be healthy, I like their odds. But I mean, just being healthy, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it's the issue that's going on. It's a lot to do with the way how the players we pick up, they just don't stay healthy, or is it the fact that Shanahan's kind of decline a little bit on his play calling a little bit? It's like defense is starting to figure out a little bit of his play call. So it's like, are we still going to stick with Jimmy, or is it still going to be Trey Lance at some point? I mean, I know Trey Lance had his first start and it looked solid, but he'll get there in time.
Exactly.
So how do you feel about Trey Lance as a quarterback so far?
I'm excited for his future, once we get to the point where we start game planning directly for Trey Lance instead of just having him come in to fill in for Jimmy G in that offense, and we get a little bit more creative. I like the potential of what he brings, obviously, and then not only that, the core receivers that you guys have, obviously, I know this year it doesn't look like it on the stat sheet, but we know the talent's there. We've even seen it already. So I love the combination of him growing with those receivers. And I feel like obviously next year in year 2, we'll see a big leap from him from this year to next year and so forth. So I'm encouraged by that. Obviously, a lot of the rookie quarterbacks are struggling this year, but that's to be expected when you're young.
Yeah, a lot of them, including the Jaguars quarterback. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you expect this from a number 1 draft pick. He's going to have his ups and downs, but mostly it's a lot of growing pains. But what do you think of the Jaguars? Even though they're kind of at a terrible start, still winless, it's like, is there any hope with Urban Meyer, even though he's been a distraction?
For Urban Meyer, I mean, it's to the point now where Urban Meyer's just got to try to win back the team, and that's going to be tough to do, honestly. That's going to be tough to do because, I mean, just going back to the training camp, they weren't happy that he was running it like he would in college and stuff. Professional athletes don't like that. You think back to when Chip Kelly was in the league, what's the one thing they didn't like? It was the fact that he was treating it like it was a college program. players don't like that. So he's going to have to adjust. And it would help if they can get some W's. That will help get the team back on track. But if they don't get W's soon, I don't like how things are looking for Urban.
Yeah, it's kind of like whatever goes on with it. Like college is a lot different, but it's just how Chip Kelly did it and a lot of other coaches in the past, but hasn't like really panned out as well. Like when you look at other coaches lately, like for example, still, you know, with your team in general, the Patriots, they're still with the same coaching staff, but with a new quarterback. So I was surprised that they even cut Cam Newton, knowing that the fact that Mac Jones was pro ready, but you could have at least had somebody he could learn behind from for just a little bit before he takes the next step. But what was your thoughts of Mac Jones, like you as a Patriots fan?
Yeah, well, going back to the Cam Newton thing first, I mean, Coach Dante, what's going on? But yeah, going back to the Cam Newton part, that caught me by surprise, man. I did not expect to see Cam Newton get cut in that fashion. I mean, it felt like he was getting the first team snaps. He was, you know, just that leader out there in terms of just letting Mac Jones learn behind him. I thought that was the game plan. I knew at some point they'd transition to Mac Jones. Just didn't think it was going to be like that. Like cut him right before the start of the regular season. And for Mac Jones, I mean, I'm encouraged. I'm seeing each and every week, you know, he's getting a little bit better. I know we don't have the receivers that he needs to help him, you know, succeed. That's why he's not going deep with the balls because we don't have any deep threats. I mean, we have Nelson Aguilar, but they're double teaming him on every play. So we don't have anybody to really throw the ball to in that sense. So I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing from Mac Jones because he's put in for a tough situation. Last week against the Houston Texans, missing 4 starting offensive linemen and still coming up with a W, I'll consider that a win.
Yeah, but everybody was thinking maybe you guys could have blew him out, but I guess with 4 offensive linemen out, that's kind of a big deal. But you look at the receivers you guys got. You guys did sign my boy Kendrick Bourne, who's been pretty solid this year. Like I'm surprised that he's getting more involved than he was before. It's like, how do you guys feel about this kid?
Yeah, like when I first saw that we were bringing him on, I was excited. I was more excited about that addition than I was for Nelson Aguilar because, I mean, I know Nelson had the one good year last year with the Raiders, but I want to see a little bit more consistency from him. But when I saw that he was going to be joining the Patriots, I was excited about that, and I'm happy that we do have him. The receiving core is better than what we were last year, but we still can use some more of those players that we can just throw the ball up for jump balls and stuff that can go win it, something like that. But I'm excited to have him for the Patriots, and I'm glad that we were able to make the additions that we did make offensively.
Yeah, and then you guys just signed like 2 good tight ends, and then you just signed the guy from the Ravens, Matt Judon. Like, man,
Yes.
It's like crazy. That I think he's leading like almost the lead in sacks, right?
Let's see. I haven't actually checked his numbers out lately, but I know that it's got to be up there, though. I will say that. That was a big addition. That was a key addition.
Yeah, he was an interesting pickup. I know some Baltimore fans were saying bad things about him, but I guess he's looking pretty good for the Patriots so far. Then you guys got Hunter Henry, who I thought was a really good tight end for the Chargers. And then you got Jonnu Smith, who's been solid with the Tennessee Titans. But, I mean, I'm just kind of intrigued that you guys got 2 tight end sets, just kind of like how the way Brady had it, like with his early years when he had Gronkowski and Hernandez in that 2 tight end set. Like, it's like you would just be wondering what's going on, like with the Patriots. Like their offense will probably gel at some point once Mac Jones gets the hang of the game. But how do you feel about your guys' running game?
I was about to say, yeah, the biggest issue, the biggest surprise to me, I thought coming into the season we'd probably be like a top 5, top 10 rushing team. I knew we were going to rely heavily on the ground, but we've not been able to get anything going. We were ranked 27th offensively and running the ball, so we're basically towards the bottom of the league. Damian Harris keeps fumbling the ball. And when the coach takes him out, I mean, Bill Belichick, he's not a forgiving guy. You fumble once, you're in the doghouse for a while. So that part's tough. Not being able to run the ball adds more pressure to Mac Jones because we can't go deep and we can't run the ball. That's why he's having games where he's throwing 18, 19 in a row completions, but they're going 5, 7 yards because we're not running the ball.
Yeah, that's been the issue with your running game. It's kind of like been low in between the bottom. Like when you guys had, James White, he was a good receiving back, and then you guys just traded Sony Michel to the Rams because they needed a running back, and then you guys had Stevenson, who I was really high on coming out of Oklahoma.
Yes.
But I'm surprised he's barely getting used because your running backs is pretty stacked, so it's kind of hard. I can understand because Belichick is a committee by running back, so it's kind of like the same thing we were doing in San Francisco when it comes to the hot hand at running back. You guys do the same way sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So, let me ask you a specific question as a fan. Like, like when you saw that play with the Cardinals and Niners, was that intentionally like on purpose injury? The way how some of these Cardinal fans they keep throwing in like, oh, your players try to injure our tight end on purpose. Well, I would ask them, isn't it the same thing what Buda Baker did to Kittle? Don't.
Ooh.
It's double standards.
Ooh.
Come on, man.
Ooh, I'd have to say you're right about that. I mean, from when I watched the play, that was not like that. Sometimes that happens in football. I mean, you're going all out there, sometimes, and you see their reactions afterwards. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like I did not mean for that to happen." You're just going out there trying to make a play full speed. So no, I'm with you guys on that one.
Yeah, because I see a lot of them crying and whining about like, oh, the Niners intentionally injured our tight end Max Williams, and I'm like, dude, did you see the way we were tackling?
Right.
The difference is now. Then when I bringed up Buda Baker, that guy mixed up his defense, and I said, dude, exactly my point.
Exactly.
Like we all know, Buda Baker is a dirty player. He does have his intentions. He just won't admit it.
Right.
So
right.
So let's get on to the next team in mind that man, it's like there was some hope with teams like Detroit, man. They had some close games, some heartbreaking losses, but it's like, are they like just getting close to maybe getting at least one win, or maybe it's going to take a long season for them?
Well, first of all, it's going to be a long season, that's for sure. But I do think that at some point they will get a win because I still think that this Detroit team, like we've seen their offense when they played against Green Bay in the first half, the offense was able to move the ball. Jared Goff, he has spurts where he goes out there and able to throw the ball. But I'm seeing the injury list more and more. I'm seeing guys that, that they had, like Jeff Okudah, at the cornerback spot, lost him for the season. I see Terrell Williams, he's injured and stuff. I'm like, who are they throwing the ball to now? So the injury list, when they get injured for Detroit, we're not talking about a game or two. We're talking about for the season. And so that seems to be what's going on with the Detroit Lions, all these injuries and at the worst possible time for them.
Yeah, it is. So I guess one of my followers is asking, what does JB&M think of Mac Jones?
Yeah, so Mac Jones, I've been trying hard to really evaluate in terms of what his potential is and so from what I've seen so far of Mac Jones, I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing, because he definitely, I feel like once he gets another offseason with the Patriots, he'll take it to another level and we get some more weapons around him. I think he can be a top like 20 quarterback for sure in this league. Top 15 on a good year, but definitely don't compare him to Tom Brady. That's not the comparison that we want to make. We want to compare him more to maybe a Matt Ryan or something like that, I'm thinking, along in terms of his potential.
Or maybe a better version of Matt Castle when he was with you guys. Like, he was really good for that one
Now, if he can give us that consistently, I'll take that. Consistently what Matt Castle gave us that year. But Matt Castle had Randy Moss and Russ Welker and company. So we're going to have to do a lot of upgrading to reach that point.
But I would think that would be something exactly like in that comparison. Like, oh, you will never want to compare him to Tom Brady because that's at a different level. Somebody like a Matt Castle was really solid,
Oh, he was. I remember that year. That was still upset we missed the playoffs that year, but he did a great job coming in that year.
Yeah. So what's your surprise thoughts of the Bengals, man? Like, who would have thought the Cincinnati Bengals were making some noises this year, man?
Yeah, nobody could have really guessed that one outside of Cincinnati, honestly. But I'm excited for them because I look at Joe Burrow, I look at Chase Young, and then I can't help but think about the Chad Johnson and Carson Palmer days back there in Cincinnati. And so when they used to go out there and then the offense would look so great, and obviously they probably make the playoffs, get put out first rounds and stuff. But I like what I'm seeing with this young core. They've got a ton of young receivers there, so I'm encouraged, especially by the offense. Defense is doing pretty good. I mean, they're right there in the thick of things right now in that tough division, hand in hand right now with the Browns in terms of records right now. So I'm liking what I'm seeing right there, and it's a pleasant surprise. So I'm happy for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, it's kind of like you would expect maybe they still be a rebuild team, but I guess they're making some good strides, and that's a positive thing because it took them a while to finally get a groove. But now this year, it's like they're maybe in the mix to win the North, maybe. But when you look at another team, but then when you look at another team that kind of like had a good start for a little bit, and then all of a sudden this became the surprise of the news. Like, who would have thought, man? The Raiders were 3-0 at that point, and they were making some good moves. They were making some significant moves, and then it came down to John Gruden resigning. Like, wow. Is it waiting to be a train wreck once again for the Raiders?
I don't think so. I mean, when you're at a crossroad like this, your team can look at it in one or two ways. It can either destroy your team or it can make your team stronger. It's going to be up to the guys in that locker room. That they're going to have to show some real leadership there. But I think that they can rally around this and actually get it together and go out there and still. I like the Chargers in that division a lot, and obviously we know Kansas City's defense is a struggle right now, but they can still go out there and be a playoff team this year.
Yeah. Speaking of the Chargers, man, it's like I like what I see out of them so far, especially with Justin Herbert and this entire defense. They gotten a lot better, and people weren't even giving them enough credit. They were kind of like saying maybe they'd be third and fourth place at best.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing from this Chargers team. I mean, I got Justin Herbert on my fantasy football team, so that's been the best decision I've made in fantasy football. I made a lot of mistakes, but not that one. I see Mike Williams, he seems like he's taking that next leap this year. If he can stay healthy, he's going to have one heck of a season. I'm talking about a Pro Bowl type season right there. And just seeing how that offense clicks. Obviously, Austin Eckler, him staying healthy, that's important as well for the Chargers. But I really love this team. Like, I was very high when they took Asante Samuels Jr., me being a Patriots fan. I saw his father, looked at his game, saw a lot of similarities in terms of how they go after the ball for interceptions. And so I really like what I'm seeing from this Chargers team, and this is a team that you don't want to play in the playoffs. They will be in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're sleepers. They're somebody you don't want to play over in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, Asante Samuel, that guy is the one I wanted in the draft, junior. Like, I thought he would have been a really good fit, but what did we do? We pass on him and trade down with the Raiders just to get a guard you could easily just get in the third or fourth round. It's like, and it's not working out for us right now. Like, come on. You're going to pass on a baller who can be a pro baller at this next level? Like, this Asante Samuel Jr., he's got a blue chip on his shoulder just like his dad.
Exactly.
I don't know about we should have drafted Mac Jones. It's pretty much having Jimmy again. Come on, man. We got to change the dynamic at quarterback.
Yeah, for Mac Jones, I felt like there were two spots that I felt like for Mac Jones that would have been really good for him. Obviously, first one, New England Patriots, and somehow it worked out that way. But the other spot I was thinking, even though from like a salary cap perspective, well, not salary cap perspective, but they already got their quarterbacks, would have been the Saints as well. I feel like those two systems would have really been able to develop an offense around Mac Jones to reach his full potential in the NFL long term.
It would have made sense with the Saints, but then they were kind of stuck with Jameis Winston, and then they were just stuck with Taysom Hill. It would have been a difficult situation, but who knows? And I guess a lot of people have their own opinion, but some of them look at it differently. But I think for Mac Jones, he fits well with the Patriots because of the way they run the system. A guy like Cam Newton and those other mobile quarterbacks, it would take them time to learn this kind of offense that's run by Josh McDaniels. Somebody like a Mac Jones would be somebody that fits perfectly fine,
Right. Absolutely. And it takes time with these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, you see how long it took Josh Allen. I mean, at first, everybody was thinking he was a bust. And then all of a sudden, look at him now. I mean, one of the top quarterbacks, if not the top quarterbacks right now.
Yeah, speaking of Josh Allen, this guy from first year, he had his interception ratio he had more interceptions than touchdowns his rookie year. Then his second year, he kind of improved his decision-making a little bit. Third year, he just started elevating to another level. So, yeah, Mac Jones could have run Kyle's system way better. I don't know about that. I think Kyle likes it when a QB plays off. I think that's the difference with most people. Yeah, Trey will be good. Give him until week 10. I mean, I feel like everybody kind of just gets the point of the difference. Like, if you're going to draft Mac Jones, you're going to pretty much have to get rid of Jimmy. And this is not what we wanted to do. We wanted to just develop a quarterback. So, what do you think of that?
Yeah, and so when it comes to Trey Lance and just obviously the dynamics that he adds, obviously we all know that mobility that he brings, and we're talking special type of talent. Mac Jones, he could be good, and with hard work, he can become great. But Trey Lance has a chance to be something special. And so with the right system, right pieces around him, then just give him a little bit of time to get more experience. And you see what things are happening with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens and stuff like that. You guys have saw firsthand with Kaepernick what that can look like. And so think a better version of Kaepernick, someone that can even take it to the next level passing the ball. He brings that type of potential. And so you have to be excited about that. Just give the man some time.
Yeah, you got to give him time because the first game you just kind of like assumed, is that the way he's going to play? No. That's just one game. Let him get some more experience. It's going to get better in no time. As the season goes on, it gets better when they play more games. So for Trey Lance, I'm giving him a pass because you got to give this guy some time, and it's the speed of the game, so it's a lot different. You kind of agree or disagree?
Hey, that's funny.
But Mac is like a Toyota, but aren't Toyotas more durable and they do run a little bit better? But Porsches are pricey and expensive, so they are pretty good.
Yeah, I can't make too much of an argument for that.
Yeah, well, that's the only thing that Troy would work on. He'll have to get proper coaching. People were talking about the same thing with Josh Allen's accuracy, and it took some time. It's not that you can't teach accuracy; it's that they can be coachable on it. So give it some time. So, like, the one thing that kind of stands out to me this season is the Rams in general. Even though they lost to the Cardinals, I think they were just a more complete team in the entire NFC West until Arizona surprisingly beat them.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, and it's still obviously extremely early here. We still got plenty of football left to go. And we know once, we hit the second half of the calendar, it's not who's playing hot right now. It's who's going to be playing hot once we hit that November time frame, October, late October, November, December, those months. Who's playing the best football then? And so it could very well be the Rams.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm not convinced with Arizona, but I've seen it happen before last year where they were on a good start and Kyler was playing pretty solid. But the only question is, can Arizona really finish strong? If they could, hey, good for you. At least you proved something. But if not, then it's the same old Cardinals from last year that kind of had that good start and then they started struggling.
I agree.
I just feel like sometimes Kingsbury's coaching style doesn't really translate too much in the NFL level because usually guys like him or like Chip Kelly or guys like that come and go don't work out as fun. But it's kind of like surprising that he finally got it together because usually this kind of coaching doesn't last too long with guys like Kingsbury.
Absolutely. I mean, we touched on it earlier. The Pittsburgh Steelers last year started off 11-0, and then we saw what happened with them. So it's about the duration of the season and stuff. I mean, heck, even Jacksonville, if they don't make that mistake towards the end of the game, maybe Jacksonville ends up beating the Cardinals. They've gotten to a couple games that they probably could have lost. Sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than good. So.
Yeah, hopefully we don't catch injuries later in the season because this is when it matters. I mean, sometimes 2 and 3 slow starts aren't always the best thing for all teams, but sometimes it's all about finishing strong in the season. And I know being 2 and 3 is not a good thing because it could either be a disaster or a quick turnaround. So, like, for example, we're on a bye week, which is good. We'll be able to catch some breaks now. But now that we got to play the Colts, I don't know which Colts team we're going to play because this Colts team was kind of playing terrible in the beginning of the season. And now they're kind of showing like, oh, when of this Colts team showed up? It's like, I don't know which one to expect. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, the Colts, they're a bit up and down right now. I mean, 1 week you see them going toe-to-toe with the Rams, and then unfortunately Carson Wentz got hurt, so that costed them that game against the Rams. And then you saw they did against the Ravens, field goal issues cost them that one. So I think they're a better team than their record says. I just don't know how much better.
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, defensively they're good because they got my boy Buckner, who we should have never traded in the first place. You got to be more realistic. I just think Armstead is just overrated and overpaid for his talent. I don't think he produces with the lesser talent like Buckner did. Buckner was just a far better player, but I guess his price range was the only reason why we traded him, or else they would have just kept him. But if I were being realistic, why not just – you could have just let Armstead walk. You could have gave Buckner at least a full offseason to get a new contract, and that would have worked out better. He was willing to do that, but I guess they were just going cheaper and say, you know what, we'll keep Armstead. Even though the guy only had one breakout year and he never did nothing after that. That's like a waste of contract right there. I guess there's some realistic Niners and there's some people that talk all that homer stuff, but I'm keeping it 100. I don't know how our season's going to start. So, it's kind of like we got to be brutally honest with all what we feel like. Realistically, 2 and 3 is like 2 and 3 for us is like we have to turn it around or it's going to be a long season. So it's like you get a bye week, but it's not a good time to get a bye week, actually. It's better to get a bye week midweek to the season or maybe late in the season where you can get well rested. week 6 is not a good bye week. I think it's not doing us any favors, but at least we'll have time to at least be able to rest our players. Yeah, I don't really see us making the playoffs yet until we make some improvements, so I can look at it that way. Armstead had a pretty good game against Arizona. We had at least 2 more sacks versus Cardinal had their O-line not held our guys to that much. I mean, dude, there's just you give Armstead talent around him, that's where he plays his best football. But if you play him around the lesser talent, he's not that good. Sorry to say it, but he is overrated. Like, if you look at his statistics, when he had a breakout year, 10 sacks, right? Where did those 10 sacks come from? Guys like Bosa and Buckner, they were able to make it easy for him to get those sacks. But last year, with less talent, and it was all coming through injuries, I didn't see Armstead elevate himself at all. He kind of went from 10 sacks to 3.5 sacks. And it's nothing to do with – he's a good run stopper at times, but his production slipped a lot down because of the lesser talent. And you're not exactly worth what we're paying you to be, man. We pay you 17.5 to get to the quarterback and play consistent football. I get that some people like this guy, but I'm not a big fan of Armstead, man. He's just not the guy. Yeah, what do you think of that, man? You think I'm kind of like too harsh on Armstead's value?
You bring up valid points, though. I mean, I get that one. Definitely you want to see your guys elevate, especially when there's no one around them. I mean, shoot, a lot of guys in this league can play at a high level when they have some great players around them. You look at a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, when he had J.J. Watt, prime J.J. Watt around him and stuff like that, able to make a name for himself, but then he's been going from team to team trying to reestablish that, thing, but it's like it ain't there, son. It ain't there, so.
Yeah. Hey, let's give a huge shout out to Travis Burge, even though he's a Raiders fan. But here's one thing I agree with Bigfoot's mom. Get out of here. Armstead doesn't always play at his right position, though. They need to throw him at the end, which for him is out of position. I think he's more of a D tackle, dude. If you put him at end, that's just not the way he plays the position. I agree with that. Raiders. Sorry, Travis. I guess they're coming at you, bro. But all love, bro. Yeah, I gotta love the Niners, though. What's up, guys? Coach Dante. So let's get on to Coach Dante's team, man. Like those Texans, no Deshaun Watson, but they got this Davis Mills kid. He's kind of looked pretty solid.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, like just looking against how other rookies have done against Bill Belichick's team. I mean, Davis Mills probably has done the best of any other rookie quarterbacks to face a Bill Belichick team, at least that I can think of recently. So, I mean, he did way better than Zach Wilson did against us. I'll say that.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, definitely. But I'm not saying what you said, dude. I'm just saying that maybe they should keep him at D tackle because I know they do throw him out of place a little bit. Usually that's not a position where a guy like him would play. But, yeah, what's surprising is Davis Mills, he was a guy coming out of Stanford with very limited pay and limited playing time at Stanford because he was injury prone, but the skill set was unbelievable. I've heard his 40 time was 4.56 or something like that when he did on his pro day. That's what everybody liked about him, but I don't think much of his arm strength was like much of a question. I think that was the intriguing part of the draft pick was Houston were able to find a quarterback, but now the problem is how they're going to get rid of Deshaun Watson. That's going to be a problem.
Right, especially with the trade deadlines and stuff coming up. It's a lot. Because, I mean, you think about the value that they want to get in exchange for him and then what everybody else is thinking about that. It's not lining up right now. So, hey, they've held true to their word. They didn't trade him, and he's not playing. So, we'll see how that plays out. I think it'll be handled in the offseason, though.
Well, unless the allegation gets handled, then that's the only way. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. Happy Friday. JB&M, who's your team?
I'm actually a Patriots fan. So, yeah, I've been a Patriots fan since 2002.
So you've been a Patriots fan since 2002. So who was a favorite player? Okay, let's not put the Brady inside, but let's put one player in mind that's in your top list of your Patriots.
Yeah, it's actually a tie. It was a tie between Troy Brown and Ty Law, those two players. Because when I first started watching football, especially Ty Law, I mean, I love me some Ty Law, my first favorite defensive player. And I was so upset when the Patriots let him go. I had to learn eventually that that's just what Bill Belichick does. We build a guy up, let him go, whether we're talking him, whether we're talking Lawyer Malloy, whether we're talking Asante Samuels, all those guys that came in and just left. So All my favorite guys in the defensive side of the ball.
I thought it was intriguing when you guys had Teddy Bruschi as one of your forces on your defense. Like, he was a solid linebacker. He hasn't.
Oh yeah.
Why, okay, and he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Why are you paying him the money up front? Now he robbed the organization. You do realize, right? Well, look at you can't. Okay, all right. Let's go on the Buckler situation. There is no way we couldn't tag him, or unless you guys are referring to Armstead, we still were able to pay him anyways because he was a free agent. But if we would have just like Buckner was in his final year, and we did exercise his bigger option. So there was no way in hell we were going to tag him. So if that kind of answers your question there, he's just doing it all love. Hey, JB's assessment of Mac thus so far and letting Cam go. Guess he's asking you how you feel about that situation.
Yeah, I'll start with the Cam Newton part. I mean, letting Cam Newton go, that came as a shock to me, honestly. I mean, like, I was really getting ready to see this man come out here because I know he was working so hard. And I really wanted this for Cam Newton as much as I wanted it for my Patriots to see him out there perform at a high level. And then just to see that we let him go like that, I mean, like, he took so long. I mean, a full year to finally learn the offense, all that stuff in the offseason, the snaps he took. If we were going to go with Mac Jones, then let Mac Jones get those snaps in the offseason as well. But that came as a surprise right there when that happened. And then Mac Jones so far, I mean, I know, like, statistically speaking, it's not lighting it up, but I'm seeing improvement each and every week. And he's doing the safe plays. I mean, the turnovers that he does have, a lot of the time the ball's flying off a Janu Smith hand or something like that, being picked off. But I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I'm encouraged about his future moving forward for Mac Jones.
Yeah, and they're all debating. I like how my fan base is getting on an argument. But, yeah, dude, like, that's what you like about your quarterback after Brady. Everybody wants to know how you guys are going to be after Brady. It's kind of been like a long process. Like, it's going to be some time before you guys even come back to competitive. The matter of time is, when is Belichick going to finally step down? That's going to be the one question, but he's still got at least some years left in him at least. Like, how long do you think he'll eventually retire and just run the front office a little bit?
I think it depends, because you hear the Malcolm Butler story, that doesn't sit well with a lot of the people in the organization, knowing that he did not play Malcolm Butler because of the whole Matt Patricia situation there. And then just obviously our fans are used to winning. I mean, I hate to sound like, me personally, I say let Bill do his thing. I mean, he showed us once he deserves a chance to just go ahead and try to build a roster again. But I don't think everybody's as patient as I am. So I say maybe another 2-3 years. Probably with the Patriots.
Yeah, so I guess in your perspective, you grew up more like a spoiled fan. Like, you were just accustomed to winning, just like my boy Stevie A. Smith was saying about being a Seattle fan. He was just spoiled. Which, I mean, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I've been through the down times, man, and it's not the best feeling in the world, man. But if you feel my pain, man, you'll know what it's like. But you guys have your successes, like they say. Once you have success for so long, it kind of comes to an end. Like, you would reach the top of the mountain, and at some point you're going to go down. It's a matter of how you could deal with the hard times. And I've been through the ups and downs a lot. Mostly it's been a lot of losing, but it's kind of been like something that I don't want to sound like I have to get used to it, but I want some changes, damn it. It makes it sound like I'm a Cleveland Brown, like those are that's the kind of organization that people are accustomed to. Is like, when you're a Cleveland Brown, you're like thinking like that's how they're supposed to be used to. And I don't want to get used to that kind of
Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
sure.
Detroit Lions, the Jaguars. I mean, the Texans. What do you expect from Texans? I would expect maybe some hope down the road, but it's not going to happen at this point unless they clean up their front office.
To think that where the Texans are right now and where they were just a few seasons ago, obviously a Happy Watson at the time, and then when they had DeAndre Hopkins and stuff, and then to see Bill O'Brien just mess that up, trading Hopkins, and then it was just all downhill from there. That's tough to see.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just wondering how some of these fans deal with the hard times, man. There's just some fans that can't stand with losing. I get the winning formula is the best feeling in the world, but when it comes down to your Patriots going to the bottom barrel, man, how's it going to feel for you? It's probably not going to feel as good like the way we felt. But at some point, there's always hope. There's always a turnaround. There's always a chance for your team. But you still got Belichick, and it's still going to be built the same way. Let me ask you a question as a fan of the Patriots. Do you think some of Belichick's coaching has been outdated a little bit lately, or you think it's kind of like he's still got it?
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that Bill Belichick still got it. When you've had success for as long as you've had it, and then not only that, I mean, you think about when the first dynasty that they had, then there was a little bit of time in between before we started winning Super Bowls again. You know, I'm talking about after the whole I remember the first time I saw them losing the playoffs to the Broncos. That time they had Jake Plum at quarterback. Then from there, I feel like there was a couple of years that we were just trying to get it back there. We were close, but we kept falling short until we finally started winning Super Bowls again. So he knows what it takes to win, but you got to reconstruct the roster because guys aren't going to keep taking your hard coaching now and we're losing. You know, I mean, Stephon Gilmore. I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't want to come back out there and play with us right now. So he wants to go. So now you've got to reestablish a winning culture. And you may have to reinvent yourself, honestly. You may not be able to repeat yourself because you're not going to have a Tom Brady. You got to reinvent the real now. But I think he can do it.
Yeah, Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones, just let's be realistic. It's never going to be a Tom Brady comparison because Tom Brady's one of a kind. And don't expect him to be the next Tom Brady. Expect him to be the kind of guy that you would want your quarterback to do is win games. That's all you should expect your quarterback to be. Stats don't really matter, but in some ways people like to look at stats. When I look at Mac Jones, I look at more of a guy who can really fit this offense for the Patriots but get the job done. That's what I look at in a quarterback. So let's get on to the Aaron Rodgers situation. Like, I know it's coming down to this might be his final year in Green Bay, or you think maybe there's a chance they work out something. It kind of looks like he's kind of getting himself out of Green Bay at some point.
I feel like if you're the Packers organization, you drafted Jordan Love for a reason. I mean, and so you sort of at this point next year, it's the perfect time to play him, honestly. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, at some point, get what you can from him. He's already stated he really doesn't want to be there. You know he doesn't want to be there. You can trade for him, trade him away now, get some stuff in return. Especially if he doesn't, take you very far this year, or doesn't take you to the Super Bowl, then I think at this point you just go ahead and make that trade and see what Jordan Love's got. I mean, you made that investment for a reason. In the first round, I can understand if it was a second round pick, but a first round pick, you sort of got to. You got to go with him.
So you got to go with the kid. That's how we're looking at. We're pressured into putting Trey Lance when we don't have to right now, but at this point we might as well. So, okay, let me ask you as a GM or the Niners in general, if you had to choose between Jimmy G and Trey Lance, who would you play going forward into the season, man? Just hypothetically, man.
The question. I would say, honestly, right now, my initial game plan was going to be to play Jimmy G, probably let him finish out the year, honestly. Like, just let him play that first year. That was the original game plan. But the season's not going exactly how I expect it to go. So now that we have a bye week, I probably right now, from what I've seen from Trey Lance, I probably would go ahead and take those lumps now and play him the rest of the way. Originally, I wanted to go with Jimmy G, but where we are right now, I'm thinking it's time to go ahead and ramp up Trey Lance right now if I'm the GM.
Yeah, get some spark. I mean, yeah, I was convinced in the beginning of the season, yeah, we got to play Jimmy, but it's kind of like at a point where our record's kind of like giving us some chances that I think maybe we need to go with the kid and maybe we have a chance. Like, it's kind of happened with Baltimore where they went through that situation where Joe Flacco wasn't playing as great as he was, and then he got replaced by Lamar Jackson, and then everything kind of turned out for the better. So I'm just thinking maybe that's what we can hope for.
Exactly.
So as far as like quarterback situations, man, it's like you want to have a good problem there, but it seems to me Shanahan just seems to just cover on Jimmy when he should actually be more accountable on the situation. But I think for Trey Lance, he needs to figure out ways to fit his skill set better instead of like having him go out there and almost kill himself out there.
Exactly. I will say that exactly. That's been the case with not just Trey Lance, but also you watch a guy like Justin Fields down there in Chicago, similar skill sets in terms of what they can do on the ground, well, running the ball, scrambling and stuff. And so, I mean, well, in Chicago's case, they just need to just completely probably bring in a new offensive coordinator, change that. But Kyle Shanahan's fully capable of making that. And now that you got the bye week, this is the perfect time to make those implementations there moving forward, I feel. This is that time where you have to do it.
Yeah, the question is Trey Lance or Jimmy going to play? Because they're both listed injured, right. So it's kind of like, hopefully we catch a break. But there's been little talks that, hey, maybe Nate Sudfeld might play. I hope not. I hope to God not. I hope not. Yeah, that's the case, Big Flo. We have to go after Aaron Rodgers. I know all this big name quarterbacks, but we don't have a lot of cap space. I know it's a good dream scenario. What I saw with Trey Lance, and I'm already getting more convinced with him. I feel like he fits the skill set. I just think Shanahan needs to play up to his strength. If he plays up to his strength, he can at least get this guy to play at the highest level. I hope Lance plays versus the Colts. Dude, you know what? I don't really care who starts at this point, because if we play Trey Lance, let's just ride with the kid and go through the season. But if we go with Jimmy, it's kind of like we're questioning ourselves. Like, didn't we just give Trey the chance? But it's an excuse because the fact that Jimmy was injured. It's like what's it called? A free jailbreak card or something? That would be the excuse. Like, oh, he was injured, so we'll go back to him. I mean, I feel like there's a difference between how Jimmy kind of brings in our offense. He is a little more accurate than Trey. That's the only thing he brings to the table, but he's not a deep throw passer. He doesn't give you a lot of this type of offense that you would want from Trey Lance. Trey Lance can really do a lot. Yeah, he's not learning anything under Jimmy. I don't think he learned anything except maybe getting some experience. I think if you play him more, it's going to build confidence. Like I said, his decision-making is probably going to go up and down, and a lot of his statistics are not going to look as good as everybody else. But the next year or two, you're going to see this guy elevate himself. So I feel like the sky's the limit for. Just imagine if we actually ran the ball with our two back sets to make it easier for Lance to. Yeah, where's that crazy Lions fan been? You mean Don Burr? That guy hasn't been seen in a minute. I don't know where he's at. Remember that Don Burr guy or not? He's always talking about Detroit versus the world. How does he think that way, man? They're over what? Everybody, I guess the world. Yeah. Oh, okay, I guess so. Yeah, everybody's kind of giving him a hard time. Yeah, plus you're in the Super Bowl window, so it's got to open up. So,
right.
So we'll get to the final conclusion here, and everybody can answer the last question before we end the stream, man. But I appreciate you on the show, man. It's good. It's been long overdue that we've been having discussions about having you on the show. I've been watching your show. Every now and then I see your intro. It's always kind of like it has a good catchy intro where you do that eye wink like this.
right. So
I thought it was kind of funny, man, the way you did that design. It kind of gives me a little bit of good laugh. Like I guess some people who come up with good intro like yourself, man, I can see why you put that logo like that. But let's see.
Yeah.
5-0, damn, I never knew they had a good I guess Don Burke kind of flipped it upside down a little bit. But okay, but yeah, but let's get to the final conclusion of the question. So, prediction-wise, how do you feel about the Patriots going forward? Do you think you guys still have a chance, even though it's just 4 or 5 games into the season?
Oh, no doubt. Our season's a wrap. Like it's a wrap. Our season's a wrap. I mean, that's why we went ahead and traded Gilmore. If we thought that we had a chance, we would have just waited to the end of the season, especially for a 6-round pick. We were just going to cut him at that point. So I think it's just for us just trying to get to, if we can match what we did last year in terms of 7 wins, I think that's good because we got the Cowboys coming up. We still haven't played Buffalo, not once. We're going to play them twice. We didn't beat Miami the first time, and no James White, and it's just going to be a long season for the Patriots. So
yeah, it kind of seems like it. And then when I look at my team in general, we're just on the 8 ball of maybe a disaster waiting to happen, or maybe there's a chance we could turn it around. But if we don't win any games after the Colts game, then I feel like it's panicking for us. So I'm kind of 50-50 on this maybe being a long season. So I know some of our fans are saying, well, you never know. It could be a quick turnaround. Well, honestly, the way we're playing, I don't know. Offense is just not really showing me any promise. Defensively, we are playing a lot better on defense. The defense has made a lot of improvement. Okay, JB's opinion on the Bills. What's your opinion on the Buffalo Bills?
Ooh, I mean, this is coming from a Patriots fan, but I always tell the guys in my stream and stuff like that, we talk about the Buffalo Bills all the time. And so I love what Josh Allen brings to the table for the Buffalo Bills. The combination of him, Stephon Diggs, that's like, I mean, you have to think of maybe Mahomes, the Tyreek, but outside of that, I think it's not rivaled by any other connection. So I think the Buffalo Bills are right now my AFC favorites for the Super Bowl. And so that's what I'm thinking right now of the Buffalo Bills. And I think they have a chance to win it all. I mean, it looks like every time I go out there and watch them, they're out there dropping 35-plus points in the game. The defense has certainly improved. And if you have to go down to Buffalo in the playoffs, good luck to you going down to Buffalo.
Yeah, it's not going to look pretty, man. I think Buffalo is the team that could make the Super Bowl. It comes down to them because Josh Allen's got a lot of better talent, and the defense is not that bad. Like, Sean McDermott is the head coach. He's actually kind of turned the culture around.
Oh, he has.
So it's been
great job.
Yeah. So I think Bills will probably Trey Lance is going to be good. He's going to prove many people wrong. I think in year 2 or 3, you're going to see Trey Lance make an improvement. Usually for rookie quarterbacks, on first year, you expect their growing pains. Year 2, they might decline a little here and there, but the third year determines their season. It determines how they elevate themselves. Usually that's where it matters, the third year. What up, Roberto? I think the Cardinals are going to the bowl. I think everybody's just overhyping them. I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's good to start 5-0, but I would tone down the hype a little bit. I'm not hating on the Cardinals. I think they're really good. But if I had to actually pick a Super Bowl favorite, it's kind of between the Rams and the Bucks.
I'm gonna put it this way. I'm gonna put it this way. When it comes to the Cardinals right now, and in my head, if I matched them up against the Buccaneers in the playoffs, I don't got them beating the Buccaneers. If I got them matched up against even the Rams, even though they just beat the Rams, if they played the Rams in the playoffs, I mean that's a little bit more winnable there. It just depends on who's injured and whatnot. But especially against the Buccaneers, I don't like the Cardinals in that matchup there. They would have to have some favorable matchups in the playoffs to get past them.
I mean, that would be a tough one because I like how they're starting, but you know how they say it could be a fool, it could be a trick. I mean, I like what they're doing so far. They did beat the Rams. They did beat my team, even though we weren't at our best. But still, you got to be impressed with what Arizona's doing. But we got to see how they do second half of the season. So that's where I want to be convinced. But as far as my NFC favorite, it's kind of between the Bucks and the Rams. Sorry to say it, but it's kind of like in between those two teams. Right. Maybe the Cowboys, but we all know Cowboys can't get further. We all know they can't, so I'm not even putting my money on it. I'm pretty sure a Dallas fan that had to place a bet like that, just say, "Oh, we're going to go to the Super Bowl." Well, I'll be a millionaire right now if they were betting like that. Anytime a Cowboys fan bets that their team's going to the Super Bowl, I'd be a millionaire right now.
Take that bet.
Take that bet, but they're not gonna realize it. It's like if anybody had to find an easy bet to go with. The easiest bet is to actually bet on a delusional Cowboys fan who thinks they're actually going to go to the Super Bowl. Take it. It's robbery.
I think the easiest bet is a Detroit fan that thinks they're going 5-0. I'll say that. So.
Well, Don Burr was kind of delusional. But in all seriously, man, I appreciate you on the show, and hopefully everybody checks out your channel. But hey, Travis Burge, if you haven't checked out his channel, go check out JB&M Sports Fanatic. I'm pretty sure 49er-minded. Go check him out too. Roberto, go check him out. Let's see, Travis. I already said Travis. Bob Money. I think it's more of a Niners follower, but I'm pretty sure they'll check you out. See everybody else. I'd like to give a shout out to Bigfoot Mom, which is kind of an interesting name, like the Bigfoot. And then you got my boy, and then the Spotlight Sports Network also in mind because they've been sponsoring it. But I'm probably gonna have to figure out some schedules for me to get on the Spotlight Sports Network thing also. But guess I didn't get much in time. So once I get future guests, I'm probably gonna let Darian know ahead of time. But it's kind of like I had some stuff kind of busy, and then it kind of just came off my head a little bit. I guess he was excited about it too, so it's cool. And I'm going to get my shirt sponsored too. So everybody else, man, me and JB&M are out, but I appreciate every one of y'all. But definitely go check out his channel. It's called the JB&M Sports Fanatic. And then when you look at his intro, don't be fooled by the wink. He's just telling you like it is, man. He's just having a good time.
I appreciate you for having me on.
All right, no problem, man. Near future, we'll definitely collaborate, man. You're a good dude.
Definitely. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You too.